it's Courtney with Your House Fitness, and I'm here to go over split squats, okay? So a split squat is basically a stationary or static lunge, okay? Where I'm just going to descend like I'm in an elevator, okay? And not do any stepping type motion. So if you're not sure, you're gonna basically start in a kneeling position, okay? So usually what I would suggest is something like this, just to get the base set up, okay? So you're looking for 90 degrees in the front, so I'm gonna make sure my heel is right underneath my knee and basically tuck my toe under, my knee's under my hip, and I've got about a 90-degree angle there. So in a perfect world, this would be basically your perfect setup. Now you're not actually gonna touch the ground when you do a split squat, but I just wanted you to get the idea. Okay, so basically I'm gonna start up in a standing position here, but if you don't know how far your feet are supposed to be, start with that, okay? Just as an idea so that you can get into position. So from here, what I wanna do is basically come up on that back toe, okay? And I just wanna drop, okay? So I'm gonna push my knee forward, try to come on down. I'm gonna stop about an inch above the ground. I want most of the weight in the heel of my front foot, okay? Now I can play with weight distribution, okay? But I want you to first understand that you're trying to fire up that right glute. I'm on my right leg here. So most of my weight is actually in the heel of that front leg. And then I'm gonna push, activating, squeezing my butt up and back, okay? So let's do this again. So I'm gonna keep my core relatively neutral or straight. What I don't want you to do is be hyperextending to push this hip forward or bending. So the biggest mistake I usually see with most lunges, including this one, is that people start to lean. You're not leaning, you're coming straight down like an elevator, okay? Dropping, 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 dropping. So this knee has to come forward a little bit, almost like you're doing some kind of dance move, right? Like you're, boom, I'm kidding. But you get the idea, whoops, that your knee has to come forward as you're dropping down in that elevator, okay? Again, most of the weight's in the heel. I'm just lifting the toes so you can understand that. And then I'm pushing off of that heel, okay? So that's just a basic old boring one on the floor here, okay? I'm gonna grab my trusty broomstick here, and I'm gonna go over one on an elevated surface. So basically, you can start with a step, okay? You can go much higher. I've seen people use like a full benches at the gym, okay? But this is a good place to start. If you don't have a step like this, an aerobic step at home, you can use like books, anything really that'll bring you a couple of inches off the ground. And basically, it's the same thing you just did, except you're gonna come over here and put your foot up on that elevated surface. So it's the rear leg that's on the step, and then I'm gonna have to get my setup again. So I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with this in a second, but basically, first thing I wanna do is just make sure I'm far enough apart, and if I'm not sure, remember, go back to that first step, just kind of take a look. It's roughly 90 and 90, okay, we're good. So I'm gonna start from there. So this is my starting position, okay? And then I'm basically just gonna come on down, okay? Squeezing my butt. I really feel that in my front glute. I feel a good stretch and burn up through here. And then I'm gonna push up and back from this glute, okay? So if you're struggling with balance, you can use something for support like I did with this, okay? Once you don't need this anymore though, you can practice doing things like this. So basically in prep for doing a barbell type Bulgarian split squat, okay? So elevated. All right, so something that looks kind of like this, same idea. So coming on straight down, okay? And then pushing straight up. Okay, so many ways you can play with this. You can have free weights, kettlebells, bands, anything you can think of, but I love this exercise for balance and for glute activation. So the one on the ground, just a stationary lunge type exercise, okay? And then sometimes you'll hear this one called a Bulgarian split squat. And the understanding most of the time in the fitness community is that when you see a Bulgarian split squat, it means that the rear leg is elevated. You can also refer to this just as a rear leg elevated split squat. You can be as fancy as you'd like. But this will obviously make it a little more challenging for you. I find that this does help me get more out of my front glute. And obviously it's a much deeper position, right? I'll be able to drop so much deeper if that back leg is behind me and elevated, and quite the hip flexor stretch here. So again, you can use all sorts of tools here. Just really make sure that you keep the core neutral. You are not leaning forward or back. So I'm gonna brace my abs here. I'm going to basically drop again as straight as I can. So I'll use this as an example, but I'm just going straight down, okay? And then straight back up with most of the effort coming from this heel driving into my glute, okay? Split squats are the best. Okay, I love a split squat. So please definitely try them out. If you have any issues or questions, let me know. But remember, you can add pretty much anything, barbells, kettlebells, free weights, bands, to make it more challenging, okay? Until next time, see you guys.